you all. It's our temple tradition to honor whoever the spiritual masters that come to the temple. Our chief priest, Sri Narasimhacharya, would like to honor Swamiji before we start the program tonight.
वेदांत विज्ञानचितार्था संन्यास योगाद्यतयशुद्ध सत्त्वाः ते ब्रह्मलोके तु परान्तकाले परामृतात् परिमुच्यन्ति सर्वे धक्रं विपापं परमेश्वभूतं यत्पुण्डरीकं पुरमद्य सद्गुस्तम् तत्राविदग्रं गगनं विशोकं तस्मिन् यदन्तस्तदुपासितव्यम् यद्वेदादो स्वरप्रोक्तो वेदान्ते च प्रतिष्ठितः तस्य प्रकृतिरस्य यः परस्य महेश्वरः.
I think you can sit with this one for some
Yes.
time. All right. We'll have it for some time. When it comes down, I'll remove it. I welcome you all with my love and respects. Listen, I am talking to you is today's title. They have given a wonderful title. Listen, I am talking to you. In Vedanta, in the Eastern spiritual science, the first step for spiritual growth is Shravana. That's a beautiful Sanskrit word. Shravana means listening. Nothing else, just listening. Actually, when I started reading few Vedantic scriptures, I started thinking, how could this be? How could a person grow spiritually just by listening? And again, when Buddha starts, he also starts with an idea, right listening. The first thing he says is right listening. And again in the modern day, one of the great enlightened master, J. Krishnamurti, he says, just by listening, you can become enlightened. You can achieve the goal. You can realize your potentiality. You can realize your soul just by listening. Again and again, all the masters are insisting on listening. Let me explain the idea Shravana. Shravana is not just listening. It is taking the whole thing. We can't translate the idea of Shravana just with the word listening. See, you are listening thousands of things. Now that you are listening, the child is crying also. Somewhere she is crying. Creating some sound. You are listening, but you are not taking in. Taking things in is totally different. Listening is totally different. When I say, listen, I am talking to you, I want you to take in or just drink. When Jesus says, drink me, eat me, he means just listen to the words intensely. The intense listening itself can liberate you. And there is a beautiful saying or sutra in a Upanishad. Upanishad means it's a basic scripture for Vedanta, for Eastern religions. All Eastern religions are born out of Upanishad only, whether it is Buddhism or Jainism or Sikhism or Hinduism, everything is born out of Upanishads. Upanishad is the basic scripture out of which everything has come out. Shaivism, Vaishnavism, Hinduism, whatever you think Eastern religions, including Taoism. All Eastern religions are outcome of the Upanishads. The Upanishad, there is a beautiful saying. The Guru says towards the disciple, that art thou, that art thou, that art thou, means Tattvamasi, Tattvamasi, Tattvamasi. You are that 9 times, and disciple becomes enlightened. That's all. Nothing else. Just right listening can do so much. Let me first explain what is wrong listening. Then you will be able to understand what I mean by the word right listening. Only when you understand what is wrong listening, you will be able to understand what is right listening. Listening without inner chattering. If you can just listen without inner chattering, usually when I speak, when you are hearing, just see what all the process you are doing. You will be taking notes. I always tell people, the person who takes notes, he misses the discourse now and after both. I tell you, people ask me, Swamiji, I forget what to do, that is why I am taking notes. See, do you forget your name? When people ask you your name, you don't forget. Because it is a basic thing for your life. Same way, the truth which I am speaking is basic thing for your life. If it is going to help you, it will be in your memory. If you forget, better you forget it. The earlier you forget, better for you. If it is not going to help you, naturally, you will not remember. If you really feel connected towards this truth, you cannot forget. And all you need to do is how to make yourself feel connected with this truth, that's all. If you don't feel connected, even if you take notes, please be very clear, it is not going to help you. And I have seen people continuously taking notes. And then it will be lying there in their house. When they shift home or when they clean their house, it will be there. Oh, they will take it and dust it and see. Oh, from India one young Swami came, all that notes. Put it in the dustbin, that's all. You will spend all your time taking notes just to put it in the dustbin. That is what usually things happen only in this way. First thing, if it is truth, if at all it is going to help you, never bother about taking notes. Simply it will penetrate your being. It will penetrate your being. The truth has got such a power, so much of effect. It can heal you and transform you. You don't need to remember it. That will remember you. Satya means which you don't need to remember, which is. See, the moment you try to remember, please be very clear, it is not truth. For example, do you try to remember, do you take notes how to sit on a chair? No. You know it, how the chair will be and how you are supposed to sit. It is a truth for you. So anything becomes truth. You don't have to take notes to remember it. Try only to feel connected to what I say. Never try to take notes. When you try to take notes, you miss the present for the sake of future. And one more thing. My words are such. It's so powerful. It comes always with energy. The words are not dead words. It is from experience. So if you just allow these words to work on you, that is enough. In the early times, the only sadhana, means the spiritual practice the disciples will do is they will just sit with Guru. Guru will continuously speak. That is why the Upanishad means literally sitting, that's all. It doesn't mean anything else. Sitting. Upanishad means the literal translation of that Sanskrit word is sitting. The disciples are just supposed to sit in the presence of the master and he will continuously speak. That's all. You don't need to do anything because the words have got so much of power. The words of the master is words from experience, words from enlightenment. It has got power. You don't need to do anything. Just the words will do everything. It's almost like an operation. Master sits, disciples are sitting. Just the words, the whole personality, our whole mental setup of disciple is rearranged and organized, elevated to the different consciousness, to the different level. Simple words of the master is more than enough. It can do miracles on your being. All you need to do is just sit with a relaxed mind. Never even bother that you should be able to remember all these things. The moment you start thinking, I should remember all these things, you have created pressure in you. Over. The stress, the pressure, that is enough, you will forget everything. The moment you create the pressure, I should remember you, or the moment you create the pressure, you should remember whatever is said, whatever is explained here. Only your conscious mind will listen to me. Your being will never listen to me. Never create that pressure. Just sit in a very playful way. Think, if at all I understand, I understand. Otherwise it's okay. When you sit and chat with your friend, do you think, oh, I should take notes, I should not forget all these things? No. You don't take notes. You don't think that I should remember everything. No. You sit in a very casual way, but you never forget the words of your friends. Why? You feel connected. The words go into your being. See, you never take notes. You never sit with attention. I should remember all the words, whatever he says. You never sit. There is no intention. But all the words uttered by your friends, you simply remember. Because there is no pressure. Again, now I tell you, don't create pressure in your being. Don't create pressure in your being. Don't think you should remember all these words later on. Don't think you should take notes. Don't think I am giving you some knowledge. Actually, if you have a little bit of intelligence, you will be able to understand every day I am speaking the same thing. I tell you, I am telling the open business secret. I am speaking the same thing. Just I am playing with words, that's all. Nothing else. I can't speak anything else. There is nothing else to be told. All I can say is only one or two things. Just be beyond mind. Be beyond thoughts. These are the one or two things I can say. I tell the same thing in a different way. People think there are so many books, oh Swamiji has spoken so many things. It is not true. I speak only one thing. Same thing I am speaking in a different way. Maybe I change stories, that's all. I change my jokes, that's all. Otherwise, truth is same. I am speaking the same thing. Not only last 2 years, even if I speak 20 more years, not 20, 40 more years, I speak also, I am going to speak the same thing only. I will be speaking the same thing only. The very words have got tremendous power. First thing, you don't have to think. You don't have to bother. I should remember all these things. If at all you really feel connected, you will not be able to forget it. You will not be able to forget it. Vivekananda says beautifully, if your heart book opens, you don't need any other book. If your heart book doesn't open, no book can help you. If your heart book doesn't open, if your hridaya or if your being doesn't open, no book can help you. If it opens, you don't need any book. Both the way you don't need book. Same way, if your heart feels connected to me, you don't need to take notes. Because whatever I say will simply go into your being, will become your being, will become your life, will become your blood. It will start vibrating in your being. You will not be able to forget. Simply you can't do anything. And try to go against it, you will not be able to go. In our meditation camps, many people after the camp they come and tell me, Swamiji, what have you done to me? I am not able to smoke now. I am not able to drink. I am not able to do what I used to do usually. What has happened to me? I am living in a different way. I tell them simply, I don't tell anything. It's not that I give them instruction. The alchemy process is such, the meditation has got so much of power, and the words of the master is so powerful, simply you can't help it. Simply your whole being will follow. It's like you are put on the track. You can't do anything else. So if at all you feel connected, you don't need to take notes. Because you'll be able to remember everything. If you don't feel connected, again you don't need notes, because notes is not going to help you. If you don't feel connected, even if you take notes and take it to the home, it's not going to help you. Because when the words are heard directly from the master, it has got power behind it. And I tell you one thing, many people try to tell me, Swamiji, why not let me listen your audio CDs, let me listen your DVDs, I won't be able to come to the ASP. Why don't you initiate me as a healer? They want to become healer. They tell me, no, I can't come to the 2 days weekend workshop. I'll just see your DVD and I'll just see your audio CD. Please initiate me. I tell them, still we have not discovered method to give remote control healing, initiation. We don't know this remote healing or postal initiation. Only when you sit in front, the words will play. Words will have such an impact on you. It will play such a major role in your transformation, because the words have got power. The words have got energy. When you listen to the audio CD or through books, you will understand what I say, but you will not be able to realize what I mean. Understanding what I say is different, realizing what I mean is different. That is why in Sanskrit we use a beautiful word called mantra. Mantra is not a discourse. Whenever it comes from an enlightened person, it is called mantra. When it comes from a normal person, it is called pravachana. Pravachana is different, mantra is different. Whenever anything comes from master, it is called mantra. And one more thing, in mantra, you can't even alter the grammatical mistakes. The master does some grammar mistakes, you can't alter. It is called arsha prayoga. Even his mistakes are accepted. Whatever language he uses, that is the language. You can't alter even a pronouncing method in mantras, because the very expression has got the power. Very expression has got the power. And one more thing, when you listen to a mantra, you can't have a judging mind. And if you listen without judging mind, whatever you listen will become a mantra for you. If you can just sit and listen without the judging mind, anything can transform your life. Not only my discourse, even a sound of a bamboo can transform your life. I should tell you a beautiful story. In Zen, there is something called Zen koans. The masters call the disciples and give them one word and ask them to meditate on it. It's almost like a puzzle. One small cone. The master will call the disciple and tell the disciple, go and find out what is the sound of one hand clapping. Sound of one hand clapping. How can you create a sound by one hand? The disciple will be asked to meditate on it. This guy, what he can do? He will sit. Whatever answer he comes and gives, he will have a blow because it will not be right answer. And Zen masters used to beat also. They will not just say, they used to beat. And whatever they come and say, the disciple comes and says, it will be wrong. Once a disciple was fed up, finally he comes and says, Master, I don't know what is sound of one hand clapping, but now I know one thing. Because I am sitting in this forest for so many years, now I have started speaking with the trees. Trees have started relating with me. I am able to hear their moods or their feelings. I am able to just feel their experiences. I don't know what is happening to me. The master says, you got it. This is what? The sound of one hand clapping. Means actually it is a technique to put you into the silence. Usually when you hear something, you will be so restless. You will always try to judge the whole thing. You will continuously try to judge things. You will be continuously judging. Judging. That's all. It's like you will be downholing everything. In the post offices, they will have a box. There will be so many small boxes in that big box. And every small box will have one city's name on it. San Francisco, LA, San Jose, Oklahoma. They will read the letter address and they will put the letters in that box so that they can pack it. The sorting will be done. Same way, in your mind also, you will be continuously downholing my words. The moment I make some statement, you take this word and you process it and downhole it. Either you put it in the box of acceptance or, okay, he says, let me listen. There are 5-6 boxes. Or, let me follow. Or, no, this is not going to work. You have so many boxes. You try to downhole my words. The moment you downhole it, you lost the whole thing. You lost the effort. You are not listened. You are not listening. You are doing two processes. One is listening and another one is judging. When I say listen, I am talking to you. I say, don't judge, just listen. Just listen without even judging, without even bothering about understanding it. People come and ask me, Swamiji, I don't know English, can I attend the meditation camp? In India, when I do meditation camp in the regional languages, they ask me, I don't know the particular language, can I attend the program? I tell them, you are the right person to attend. At least you will sit without chattering, inner chattering. You will just sit in front of me. That is all we need. Actually, if you can just sit without having the inner chattering, simply the message can be transmitted. What I want to say will be simply expressed. Whatever I can say, I'll be able to express it in silence. In much better way, I'll be able to express it in silence than through words. I can't teach in silence Because if I stop talking, you will start talking inside you. There is a beautiful sloka. Shankara sings about Shiva, Dakshinamurti. Chitram Vadadaror Mule, Vriddha Sishya Guru Yuva, Gurostu Maunam Vyagyanam, Sishyastu Chinna Samsaya. The translation of this verse is, oh, what a great surprise. A small boy is sitting as a guru, as a master, and all elderly people, his grandfather's age, they are all sitting as a disciple and listening to him under this banyan tree. What great surprise. Just by his silence, he is able to transform the lives. He is able to transmit the ultimate knowledge. People ask me, Swamiji, why don't you also teach in silence? Like Dakshinamurti. Dakshinamurti is the incarnation of Shiva. He is considered to be a very young person who became enlightened. He is a guru of young age. He has become a master in a very young age. All his disciples are very elderly persons. He used to just sit with them and the disciples used to get enlightened. People ask me, Swamiji, why don't you teach through silence? I tell them, I can teach, but you will not be able to listen. If I stop talking, you will start talking inside you. I am continuously talking so that at some time you will feel tired of judging me and drop the judging attitude. That is why I use so much of different techniques, so many different techniques, such a complicated methods, so that at some time you will feel tired and drop the inner chattering. You will stop judging. You will start listening. The moment you stop judging, you really start listening. The moment you start listening, in that very moment you become enlightened. J. Krishnamurti says, right listening is God. People go and ask him, Master, please help us to become enlightened. Please give us your grace. He always used to tell, right listening is God. Just listen, that's enough. Listening itself can liberate you. Just the simple listening. You may be thinking, how can it be? We have complicated our whole structure. When you are listening, either you agree with me or you reject what I say. Both the way you are rejecting. Please be very clear, even if you agree with what I say, mentally, you are rejecting in a way. Because the moment you agree with me, you will put me in the agreeing box. You are never going to open that box, that is the problem. You will put me in the agreeing box. You will tell, all right, one more good lecture. Or I have seen some people will be planning. After the lecture, I should go near Swami and tell, Swamiji, you spoke well. As if you have discovered something newly. I spoke well, that I know. I am not sitting and waiting for your certificate. And I always see, when I speak, people will be calculating what they should come and tell me. Just to get my attention. Actually, that is not going to help. I have always seen people planning about what to tell me and they will miss what I am speaking. After that, they will come and tell me, oh Swamiji, you spoke so wonderful. I think such a wonderful thing. You spoke beautifully. I just catch them, come, what I spoke, tell me. Oh, that Swamiji, that, you spoke nicely. That and all you don't ask me. I spoke nicely, but they can't say what I spoke. When you continuously judge, even if you agree with me, you may agree, but you will not realize what I say. Listening is an art. It's a wonderful art. It's like open your whole being and relax. Never allow any judgment to happen in your being. Whatever words come, allow these words to penetrate you, that's all. Nothing else is necessary. Allow these words just to penetrate you without judging it. The moment you start judging, you keep me only in the conscious level. You don't let me go into your being level. First thing, creating pressure that you should remember means trying to take notes outside or inside. There is one more thing. You try to take notes inside also sometime. You think, oh, this I should remember and go and tell my friends. Many people, when they sit in my discourse, they will try to remember. They will think, oh, this I should go and tell my wife. This I should go and tell my mother-in-law. This I should go and tell my daughter-in-law. Or they will think, tomorrow I should surely bring her. She should listen to all these things. Please be very clear, I am talking to you. Listen, I am talking to you. The moment you decide, I will go and tell this to this person, that person, you have stopped that present moment. You have stopped listening. You escape from that present moment. You are not listening anymore. My words are not going to touch you anymore because you are already preparing for tomorrow's discourse, for your discourse. You are already preparing for your tomorrow's discourse. Please be very clear. Don't prepare your dialogues or don't prepare for your sermon from my discourse. Sermon in the house. That is what continuously all of us are doing. One person came and started weeping in front of me. Swamiji, I am suffering. Please give me some solution. My wife is torturing me. I asked him, what's your profession? He said, I am a doctor. What she is doing? She is BABL. BABL means lawyer in India. In India, lawyer. I asked him, she doesn't go to court? He said, no Swamiji, she argues in the house itself. She argues in the house itself. Don't prepare statements and stories to support your argument in the house. Most of the time, we pick up all these ideas and start thinking, next time I should tell this to my friends. Next time, I should tell all these things to my brother or my wife, my son. All these things. When you start preparing for your lecture, you miss my lecture. You miss the effect. You may have the meaning, but you will miss the effect. Two things. You may have what I mean, but you will not have what is. It's like in Sanskrit, that is what they call it in a two-way. One is the linguistic and phonetic part. Linguistic part is understanding the meaning. Phonetic part is the very vibration. With Master's words, the very vibration is living. If you can just listen to those vibrations without bothering about understanding, without even bothering about judging, you will be able to penetrate into the core of my message. People ask me, Swamiji, do you mean to say that we should not understand what you say? I tell you, even if you try, you can't understand. This is the truth. You may think that you understood, that's all. We may think we understood, but we can never understand. Because my dictionary is different, your dictionary is different. When I say the word soul, if you go and refer the Oxford Dictionary, you can never have the meaning in which I expressed. When I say the word God, it's a living energy for me. When you use the word God, it is just an idea. It is only an idea. If you understand this one story, it will be really nice. In one of his discourses, Vivekananda says, Ramakrishna is an incarnation, God himself. Some of Ramakrishna's disciples, they asked Vivekananda, how can you say that? We are also his disciples. You can say he's an enlightened man, but how can you say he's a God himself? There is too much. This is too much. Usually these masters, the older they are, the more respect they receive. And if they have died long ago, they receive more respect. When they are living, they are never respected. When they are living, you can see all the masters' life. They are stoned, crucified, murdered, everything. The moment they are gone, people will start worshipping. As long as they are there, they will become only trouble. The moment they are gone, they will be given all the puja. That's a beautiful saying. The grandfather, as long as he is alive, he will be staying outside in the outhouse. The moment he dies, his photograph will be there in the main hall. As long as he is alive, he will be there in the outhouse. The moment he dies, his photograph will be there in the main hall. He can come into the house only as a photograph. Same way with the masters also. When they are gone, we start respecting them. As long as they are there, we take them for granted. So, these guys, they say, no. How can he be God? You can say he's an enlightened person. We can't say he's a God. Then Vivekananda asked them, what do you know by the word God? What do you know by the word God? He asks. The disciple replies, God means omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent. Vivekananda asks, what do you mean by the word omnipotent? Means he can do everything. He can do anything. What do you mean by the word omnipresent? He is everywhere. Everywhere means what? He is in this pillar, he is in this person, he is in this chair, he is everywhere. He is in this pillar means the pillar and he are two different things are same. He started arguing. Vivekananda started arguing. The disciples slowly backed out. No, that much and all I don't know. I just know God means omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. Then Vivekananda makes a beautiful statement. All your idea about God is your idea about God. It is not God itself. Ramakrishna is far higher, superior than all your ideas about God. He says beautifully, whatever idea you have about God is just an idea. Your idea is far more higher than all your ideas, is just beyond your mind. With this one story, you can understand, whatever you know is just words. If I say a few words, you will try to understand those words with the words which you already know. You learned some words in the schools, in the universities, in the colleges. If I speak something, you will try to refer those words quick way, and you will make a meaning out of those understandings. You will make meaning for my words from your dictionary. Words are mine, dictionary is yours. That is where the problem starts. You think you understand, but I tell you, the spiritual truths can neither be uttered nor understood. I am continuously speaking not to make you understand what is truth, but to make your inner chattering tired, so that you will feel little tired and stop judging. That is the reason continuously I am speaking day in and day out. There is not even a single day I don't give a discourse. It's like my food. Every day I am speaking. In last 2 years, they have recorded 3,000 DVDs. 3,000 different discourses they have recorded in last 2 years. I don't know how I spoke. Continuously things are happening. I am speaking not to make somebody understand what is truth, but to make them understand only when you drop your inner chattering, you can realize or experience what is truth. When I say listen, I am talking to you. I mean just listen. Neither try to take notes in the notebooks or in the mind. Taking notes in the mind means thinking. Let me go and repeat this to my husband, to my wife. She should learn all these things. In my meditation camps, I always tell people, husband, wives or relatives should not should not sit next to each other. Because if I support the husbands, immediately they will turn towards wife. Listen. If I support the wives, the wives will listen. How many times I told you? And Swami says only you will understand. Now I will be speaking and there another one, commentary will be going on. Actually, nobody thinks I am speaking to them. People always pass my words. Passing the buck. People always think what Swami says is truth, but I am not so bad. What he says, something applies to me, but not everything. Maybe the other things he is speaking for the next person. That is the problem when we give the common discourses, the public lectures. Everybody thinks, oh, this is not for me, this is for that person. As long as I don't touch your ego, I massage your ego, you take all those words as said to you. You think, oh, this is for me, this is for me, this is for me. The moment I touch your ego, the moment I touch where you have your investments, you start telling, no, this is not for me. I think this is for the next person. I think this is for that person, not for me. We just escape if something is directly addressed to our being. And be very clear, if you feel that some words are not for you, that is specially for you. Straight away to you. Don't try to pass the buck to the next person. And everybody passes the buck to the next person. Finally, only chairs listen to me. That is what happens. Finally, only chairs get enlightened. Only chairs and the tables get enlightened. Because everybody thinks, oh, this is for that person. This is for that person. This is for that person. Finally, it reaches only the chairs and carpets. It never reaches any living beings. First thing, don't think this is for somebody. And don't prepare to repeat this to somebody else. And one more thing. If you repeat even the same words without even changing a comma or a full stop, if you repeat exactly the same thing to somebody without you experiencing it, you will be harming that person. Please be very clear. What you say is not important. From which level of consciousness you say is important. What you say is not important. From which level of consciousness you say is important. And what you hear is not important. With which level of consciousness you hear is important. If you just hear in a plain way, you will create only conscience. Usually, this used to be one of the nice technique to stop the speaker speaking. In India, people don't get usually the stage. The moment they get, they don't stop speaking. So the mic operator will switch off the mic so that the person who is speaking will understand he is supposed to stop speaking or end the session. I think I have time. One small story. One guy, a political speaker. The political speakers, the moment they get the mic, they don't stop. Continuously. In India, I don't know about in this country. In this country, no political meetings are allowed. I don't see any meeting. In India, there is a custom called political meeting. Every street corner, there will be a group of people sitting on the stage. The beauty is nobody will be there to listen. These guys will just have mic and fire. Nobody will be there to listen. These guys blah 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 blah. They go on. So some political meeting. One guy got the mic. Somebody got the mic and went on and on and on. Slowly people started leaving. Almost everybody left. Even then this guy is not ready to stop. Only one person was sitting. Only one. Everybody left. Then finally he finished the lecture and told, "I am so happy that you sat till the end." The guy said, "No, I am the owner of the mic." I am owner of the mic, I have to take all my materials. Even that is not important thing. The next thing, the speaker, he apologized. "Oh, sorry. I don't know the time. You should have put on clock. I don't know the time is, what is time? That is the reason I went on. I don't know what I'm supposed to finish. And there is no clock." The guy who's arranging, the organizer, he said, "Of course, there was no clock, but there was a calendar." There may not be a clock, but there was a calendar. Sometimes people don't stop. So I don't know whether it is a technique or shit. Switching off the mic is technique.
Ran out of batteries.
Okay. I just wanted to verify. Why to take chance? Intensely listening itself can transform the whole life. Just intense listening without judging, without calculating, or without planning to go and repeat. As I was telling you, the people always try, it is for next person. When I touch the ego, whenever I touch some part of your being which you can't accept, immediately you pass the buck to next person. You protect yourself by thinking this is not for me. But I tell you, every word is straight away for you. Listen, I am talking to you, not for somebody else. And one more thing, the power of intense listening. The power of intense listening. You don't even need to understand when you listen the Master's words. When you listen the Master's words, you don't need to understand in a linguistic way. Just listen those vibrations in a phonetic way, that's enough. Allow that vibrations to work on you. Allow that vibrations to penetrate you. If you try to understand a linguistic way, you will get only more and more informations. Knowledge, dangerous. Be very clear. Knowledge is very dangerous if you are not able to digest it. Knowledge is very dangerous when you are not able to digest it. It gives you so much of power. We start misusing it or abusing it. Not only on others, on us, ourselves. We start disturbing ourselves. Apart from disturbing others, we start disturbing ourselves. The right listening, instead of acquiring knowledge, you will start acquiring experience. There is a two thing called communion and communication. Communication is just verbal. You try to understand, judge, hold the words. It is just verbal, head to head. That can happen in the normal lectures. But when you sit with masters, something more than communication happens, what we call communion. Your being starts realizing, your being starts experiencing. When you don't bother even to understand the meaning, you simply start experiencing it. The more you stop doing all these things, taking notes, or planning to go and repeat this to somebody else, or judging the words, judging these concepts, whether it is right or wrong, I tell you, there can be no such thing as right concept on the planet Earth. Who is there to judge? Tell me. Whatever you feel as right, you go, you express, that's all. The moment you express with words, it becomes lie. Because always it is question of anything expressed with words. You can argue about it. You can question about it. You can play with words both the sides. For example, if I say God is there, you can always argue from the other side. God is not there. If I say there is no God, again you can take the other side and start arguing. Actually, in those days in India, debates used to happen. Shankara went and debated with Mandana Mishra. Later on, the Buddhist scholars have started debating with Shankarites. Each person debates with other masters. People ask me, sometimes Advaita wins, sometimes Buddhism wins, sometimes Ramanuja, they win. Swamiji, then which is the real philosophy? I tell them, we can't say some philosophy is real or truth just because somebody has won. We can only say the person who won the debate is more articulate about that, that's all. He is more capable, that's all. It's just because he is capable, he won. But just by arguing or winning, we can't say something is truth. Truth is beyond argument. The moment you express it with words, it becomes lie. Then people ask, why are you continuously trying to express with words, Swamiji? Again and again I am trying to express through words, so that again and again I am speaking, so that you will stop speaking. You will become silent. I am using all possible words so that you will stop using words. Really, you can have the ultimate benefit of listening to a master when you listen with your whole being. It's like 3 levels of listening. One is listening with the head, just intellectually analyzing continuously. What he says is right or wrong, what is going on, what he is trying to tell. All these things. Intellectually analyzing. The more you analyze, more you will be confused. That's all. Day before yesterday, some devotee, she came and told me, Swamiji, after the NSP, I am totally confused. I said, that is true. That is good. Means you are growing. You are really listening. If you just try to listen and try to use your dictionary, you will be totally confused. Because my dictionary is different and your dictionary is different. When I use the word God, I mean it is a solid experience. When you hear the word God, it is only a concept for you. It's only a concept for you. So my words and your dictionary is not going to match. First thing, an intellectual listening, you will be only in a confusion. Next, listening with heart, listening through heart. It's like a little sympathy. You have little sympathy for my words. You say, all right, after all he is speaking, let me try to listen and practice. When you think that you should practice a little bit of sympathy with these words, again you miss. You may have a little bit of morals in your life. You may start planning, oh, I should do this, I should not do this, I should live like this. That's all. You will plan, but you will never execute. Be very clear. You will never execute. Your mind, your planning doesn't have so much of power to execute. If you can execute, you would have done long before. You don't need to listen to me. If you can execute, you would have done it long ago. Even that is not going to help you. Listening with your whole being is what I call pure listening. When you do that pure listening beyond your intellect, beyond your emotional level, the whole thing just gets recorded in your being level. The light is transmitted. What has to be transmitted will be transmitted. What really should happen will happen. Raman Maharshi says, if you can just keep quiet, that is enough. Whatever has to happen will happen. But just keeping quiet is so simple, we can't do that. We can do anything which is complicated. Anything which is very complicated, very difficult, we can do because it gives ego fulfillment. It gives ego fulfillment. In India, they go around the temple 1,008 times per day. There are some rituals they do. 1,008 times they will go around the temple. In Tirupati also they will do the Anga Pradakshina, means they will roll on the ground. All over the temple they will roll on the ground. All those things are very easy to do. Please be very clear. Very easy to do because it gives you ego satisfaction. It gives you an idea that you have done something. But when you are asked to just keep quiet, there the trouble starts. It's such a simple thing. That is why it is so difficult. Because it is so simple, it is so difficult. If you can just listen without any inner chattering, your whole being will be transformed. That's enough. Nothing else needs to be done. Neither calculate, I should go and practice this, nor think, I'll meditate and realize this. Don't postpone. Don't even think you are supposed to do something after this discourse. No. Just relax and be here. Allow these words to penetrate you without even bothering about the meaning or analyzing it. If you can relax that much, that is enough. Your whole being can be transformed. It can enter into a new dimension. It can enter into a new consciousness. What I call that silence, the ultimate silence, will simply start happening in you. The ultimate silence is what I call enlightenment. If you can allow that ultimate silence to penetrate you without your inner chattering, continuously judging these words, What has to happen will happen. Thank you. Your questions? We'll spend few minutes with your questions. Sure. Yes.
I said, when we talk about meditation and we say the mind is going, and we're supposed to just watch and observe that, what part of us is doing the observing?
Observe the observer, that's all. You can't even say who is observing or what part of you is observing. As on now, you have two parts. But when you start deeply observing, it will become only one part, who is observing, that's all. It will disappear. The observer, observing, observed. All the three will disappear into one. That you can neither call it as observer or nor call it as observed. It is something beyond observing. So we can't name. If we start naming, it will be absurd.
Thank you.
Get the questions which is there already. Somebody is asking about his meditation experience. It's a personal question. You can come to me when you come for darshan. At that time you can ask me. I'll try to answer. All the public questions I'll answer. Personal questions you can come near me. That time you can ask. Do you believe God is the essence of everything and the essence of nothing? I don't believe, I know it because it's my experience. Belief is superficial. Experiencing is much more deeper. So, God is the essence of everything and essence of nothing. It's my experience. It is not just a belief. So whether you believe it or not, that is the truth. Please tell me the most easy to understand simple basic book, CD or DVD. I can say that meditation is for you, that book. That book can be the most simple. It's again a personal question. Am I on the correct spiritual path for me? So it's a personal question. Please come when you come for darshan and ask me this question. I'll tell you because I don't even know who is this. Here even the name is not written. How can one say happy when all the news about family members? I don't know, he has written something I am not able to read. For example, the young family member is hospitalized. So, It's again a personal thing. Please come and ask me when you come for darshan. When detaching ourselves from the emotions, how can we not become indifferent and continue to be happy? When you really detach yourself from the emotions, you will start radiating the ultimate emotion, bliss. You will start radiating energy. If you are radiating happiness only based on emotion, please be very clear, it is superficial, only skin deep. Only when your joy or happiness is based on silence, based on the detachment, it is bliss and it will radiate forever. It will radiate forever. Anything based on some reason cannot radiate forever. In Sanskrit we have beautiful two words, santosha. Santosha means happening because of something touching you. Ananda means happening here forever, which will never be reduced, which will never come down. So Ananda is different, Santosha is different. Santosha is just happiness, which happens due to attachment and all these things. Ananda is something beyond, which happens to you from the silence. Does the intention with which a deed is done creates a karma? Is it possible to live karma free by not being attached to the action or intention of the deed done? If you are just detached from the intention, that is enough. You can't stop the karma. You can't stop doing action. That will be there always. But you can drop the attachment with intention. You will be karma free. You will be a vimukta. Nice person. Dear Swamiji, please explain the Guru-disciple relationship. What are we supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? Let you also be in silence. Allow me to be in silence. That's all. Nothing else needs to be done. Just relax and allow me to relax. Nothing else needs to be done. That is what I am saying the last 1 hour. Because you can't be in silence, I have to talk. If you can be in silence, we can just sit. And just sitting next to each other is such a wonderful thing. Actually, I tell you, if you can't experience the just sitting, if you don't know something called just sitting, you are missing one of your dimensions. It's like for example, you are born, somebody is born blind. Can you explain to him what he is missing? You can't. He is missing one of his dimension, one dimension of his being. Same way, if you can't know, if you don't know that just sitting, if you can't do that just sitting, you are missing one dimension of your being. It is such an ecstasy. It is such a wonderful thing. If you can learn that one trick, just sitting, you are liberated from all bondages of the world. Neither depression can touch you, nor any attachment can bind you, or any bondages. Nothing can disturb you. If you just learn that one single technique of just sitting, so all we need to do is somehow learn that technique of just sitting, so that I can also just sit. Only this will work. I don't really know how to talk to you, but talk to you in person, mostly because I am a big chicken. When you become big, you can't be a chicken. See, when you become big, naturally you are, what do you call, hen? What's the other word you use? Surely you can't be a chicken. So, I really know you don't bite, but when you know I don't bite, then why should you be afraid? You can talk to me in person. Nothing wrong. May I know who is this questioner? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Nice question. Can meditation release toxins stored in the body? Yes, surely it can release, and it can help you not to accumulate. Both the way, it will help you. How long would it take? That's the problem. It is based on your intensity. I can say, surely not more than 15 days. Atman, Hindu belief as opposed to Buddhist belief. Here is a nice question. About Atman, Hindu belief and the Buddhist belief, are they opposed to each other? I tell you again the dictionary problem only, nothing else. When Shankara says Atman, what he means, the same thing when Buddha says there is no Atman. He means that both of them mean the same thing, using the different words. When Shankara says Atma, what he means, the state or the energy. The same thing only when Buddha says Shunya, he means. So the Shankara's Atman and Buddha's Shunya, both are one and the same. The same experience, two different words, just copyright problem, nothing else. That is what I tell you, the honest truth. Copyright problem. This guy wants to have their own word. And they don't want alo, they don't want that old word. They should give something new now. So in America I saw the yoga has thousands of names. Poor guy Patanjali, anyhow he passed away. What all yogas? Gym yoga. And so many names. I was shocked. I read in one yoga journal, Super Deluxe Kundalini Yoga. No, really I tell you. Super Deluxe Kundalini Yoga. I was shocked. I prayed to Patanjali, oh Patanjali, it is nice you left the world long ago, otherwise this guys would have forced you to commit suicide. And what all advertisement? Super Deluxe Kundalini Yoga. And so many advertisements, I was shocked to see all those advertisements. These are all just copyright. And below I see the SM, TM, service mark, trademark. Just to have your own trademark, copyright, you create new word. Just like that in those days also, these guys have created new words. Otherwise, to tell you honestly, the experience is one. What Ramanuja calls as Vishnu, what Madhva calls as God, what Shankara calls as Atman, or what Upanishad says as a Brahman, or what Buddha says as Anatta. Anatta means the Sunyatva. Sunyatva, or what Jesus says God the Father. All these experiences are just one and the same. The whole thing is just copyright problem. Let you don't get caught in the copyright problem. That is what all I wanted to say is, please don't be caught in the copyright problems. That is where the whole conflict starts. It's like, four guys are going towards a lake to drink water. Before entering into the lake, one guy starts shouting, "Oh, inside the lake we will get a pani." Pani means in Hindi water. The other guy says, No, we will get only water. My grandfather told me only water is there. The other guy says, No, it is Neelu in Telugu. The other guy says, No, it is Tanni in Tamil. All these four guys starts fighting. One guy says, Hey, my grandfather only created this lake. He told me only it is water. The other guy says, My father used to go there every day. He told me it is a water. Each one starts fighting without even entering into the lake. The border itself, all the four of them, they started fighting. It went to the level. Each one has started fighting with each other. Finally, all the four died, killing each other without drinking the water. That's all. If they had a little bit of patience to look in, just to peep in, and let us see, let all four of us, let us go and just see what is there. If they had that much of patience, all the four would have understood what they are saying is the same thing. They are only using four different words, but the thing is only one and the same. But these people don't have that much of patience. These people wanted to prove each one's theory. It is not even the sincerity towards the experience, it is sincerity towards your ego. That is what creates conflict. Many people come and ask me, Swamiji, I go to that guru, I am devoted to that master, can I come to your discourse? I say, why not? Why you can't? This is not like a shop. If you go to that shop, don't come to my shop. If you go to this shop, don't come to my shop. Nothing like that. It's not a shop. And I always tell people, not only I tell you can go, I encourage it, you must go wherever you can. Pluck flowers from all the garden and make a beautiful bouquet and have it for yourself. And one more thing, it is all our ego conflict. It is not even guru conflict, it is our ego conflict. We guys, we always want some preference. And we wanted to have some special place in everything. We just wanted to show that we are great seeker. That is the reason we create conflicts. Honestly, to tell you, if our ego is such, even if 1,000 masters beat also, it will not die. So how do you think it will die by one master? So go around and have 1,000 blows so that there is a chance for it to die. Never try to escape by telling, no, I follow this guru, how can I follow that guru? I follow this, how can I do that? You don't have to create any conflict at all. The people who create conflict, they don't want to do anything properly. Only they create conflict. So, whether it's a Hindu belief or Buddhist belief, whatever may be their belief, the experience is one. Just the different names, different trademarks. That's all. But I tell you one thing, never be caught in these trademark things. If you are caught in these trademark problems, you will be lost. You will be totally lost. Never lose yourself among their business, in their business. Swamiji, what do you see when you look at us? Example, physical appearance, our hearts, our auras. May I know who is this questioner?
Nancy Swami.
Oh. If I tell you what I see, will you sit here? That's a big problem. And actually, I don't see your mind at all. You can be safe. Please be very clear. I don't read your thoughts. I don't see your mind. Because it's something like privacy. So you can be sure I never see your thoughts or anything. Only when people voluntarily ask me, please Swamiji, guide me in for some time, in some situation or some solution. If I hold your hand, then you can understand I am seeing your thoughts. Otherwise, I never see your thoughts or anything. You can feel safe.
But actually she wants you to see Swami.
Oh. Of course, when you intensely feel that you want me to see, then naturally you open up. And when you open up, I don't even have to see. Whatever has to be healed will be healed. That's all. That intensity itself is enough. What's the best way to deal resistance or lack of discipline with the meditation practice? This is a wonderful question. Try only to infuse interest. Never try to create a discipline. If you create a discipline and make it as a ritual, I tell you, you will never be able to experience what I call enlightenment or the silence or the bliss. I have seen many people doing things as a ritual. Once you start doing rituals, that's all, you are gone. See, do it out of your deep interest. Only create interest in you. Just try to create interest. Don't do it as it's a dead ritual. I have seen people doing Vishnu Sahasranama in the house. They will start Vishnu Vashatkara Bodha Vapipat Prabhu. After 2-3 minutes, they will start seeing the number. Whether it is 300 running or 400 running or 500 running. By mistake, if they move 2-3 papers, they will be very happy. Honestly, tell me, how many of you have the habit of reading like this Sahasranama or some mantras? Tell me, do you see it or not? Actually, when you make it as ritual, where no other way, we will do. So before making it as a discipline, create interest. Try to work to create interest instead of creating a discipline. How much interest is there, that much automatically you will do. All you need to do is try to create interest. Don't try to create discipline. The more you create interest, you don't even have to repeat. Continuously you'll be feeling that Viswam Vishnu Vashatka. You will start feeling that experience. Create a deep interest and devotion in you. That's what will guide. Is bliss really love? It is something deeper than love. For love you need two persons. Person who gives, person who receives. For bliss you don't need to have two persons. Just you will be radiating. If somebody is there, you will express it towards them. If there is nobody, you will be just radiating. The bliss is such, it doesn't need two persons. For love you always need two persons. If the other person is not there, you will not be able to love. That is why with love, always there is a need for other person exists. The moment you start loving, you start becoming possessive. You need the other person to love. Possessiveness is byproduct of love. With bliss, you just radiate. You don't possess. With bliss, you don't need two persons. Thank you. I pray to the ultimate energy, the divine. Let it make us all understand this ultimate silence and give us the experience of eternal bliss, Nityananda. Thank you.